Waiting for something to happen. There it is. Hey guys, and welcome to another Tutorial Grid live stream. I'd like to welcome you all to another awesome fun time late at night stream of my projects and some other things. So first and foremost, why don't you go ahead and give us a big old like on YouTube or subscribe to us on YouTube. There should be a subscribe button up there. Also, make sure to check us out at facebook.com/Avid Productions 479. Give us a like here. And if you want, you can check us out on Twitter at twitter.com/tutorialgrid. This tutorial is brought to you in part by The Black Mariachi by why do I always say J.K. Williams? J.M. Williams. Brought to you in part by J.M. Williams and Guantanamera Films. It is also brought to you in part by SiteGround. Make sure to go and check those guys out. There is a link in the description below. They've got great website stuff, website hosting, WordPress, Joomla, all that fun jazz if you're looking for a new portfolio. So make sure to go check that out if you are looking for a new website because they have great prices. So enough about that little spiel. We're going to jump into it. So we've been doing a lot of cool stuff here on the Tutorial Grid channel. It's been getting a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger by the day, and I appreciate everybody sticking around and chatting up our chat window here. So today I think I'm going to focus mostly on some easier stuff just because it's Friday, and why do something hard? It should be easy today. It should be a very easy day. To do stuff. So what we're going to be focusing on today is just a couple of Ricochet hits. So if you've seen some of the stuff we've done before, which you might not have, I don't think I've done any tutorials over this stuff. So we've got our main character, and he's running away from this sniper assassin. And he's gotten hit. He got shot with a bullet, and he's coming out of the water. This is actually, I believe, Stockton Lake in Missouri. And so he's coming out of the water, and he's bleeding all over the place. And the sniper's still shooting, so it is now our job to create the sniper hits 1, 2, exactly on these points here. Make it look somewhat realistic because this shot happens in real quick. What is this? 6, 4. It's like an 8-second clip. So cool. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Welcome everybody. I see there are 2 people watching. Welcome to the stream. And I'll be answering whatever questions you've got. I know, hey, One Man Band, I know you're in there, so why don't you give a shout? And hey, actually go like his stuff. He's got a pretty cool studio too. Help him out. So let's go ahead and jump on into this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do what I've been doing before and bring all this junk into After Effects. So I'm just going to select what I've got right here. Make sure I've got a couple of hit points. So one thing I do before we get into After Effects is if you notice, we've got hit points here. A lot of the times whenever you receive stuff like from an editing bay or from somebody to edit and they want you to bring stuff in, make sure they give plenty of notes. I'm a constant note taker, so you see a bunch of like little green markers on everything, and everything has its own certain note. And whenever you're receiving footage from editors or anything like that, make sure that they're always constantly like giving you notes and like what the director wants or what they've said they've wanted. And that just really helps everything on the back end. So that's one of the things that I tried to do since I was a secondary producer on the film, but I didn't edit, and I've never worked with this guy's editing stuff before. So I knew to tell him, like, make sure to give me as many notes as possible because I don't want to read your mind. Cool. So with all that fun, awesome, cool stuff being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring this into After Effects. Take both the clips, right click, and replace with After Effects Composition. Now, for our viewers that are here right now, you guys have probably been like, okay, so what are we going to mask in today? And to tell you the truth, we are not probably going to be masking anything. So that's a plus. This should be a pretty cut and dry tutorial. So we're just going to go ahead and jump on into it. So I see here, this is where the ricochet starts, hits here, then goes off. And there's not going to be really anything too crazy. So while I'm looking through this clip, I'm going to turn this off. I'm just going to kind of play it back. And I'm actually going to turn off the audio because you guys don't need to hear all that crap. Desktop audio turned off. Okay, cool. So I hope you guys can still hear me. I think you can, right? Yes. Okay. So with, yeah, right. No masking. That's pretty awesome. I got to turn down my mic. I just popped it. Okay. Yeah, no masking. It's pretty awesome. I don't think, at least. I've got my fingers crossed. But so I'm going to just kind of play back the footage here and see what I have to deal with. So it looks like I'm going to have to track some things because our camera is dollying out of the cave. Yep, yeah, we're going to have to do some major tracking. Well, not major, but we are going to have to do some tracking, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And man, that guy just goes. Yep, he goes. There he goes. There he goes. And let me guess. This is going to be a scaled shot, right? Scale shot. It is. Crap. Okay. So instead of doing a camera pan out, he did a scale out. So what we're gonna have to redo some things. So with this shot, our editor decided he wanted to portray the shot in a way that looks as if the camera is panning out. So we have a little bit more work to do than I thought. So we've got our scale tool, which technically mimics what a dolly would look like, but we're going to do a little bit better than that, but we're going to have to do a few things first before we do that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my scale here, and I'm going to make sure that that's that. Okay, so you need to figure out how big this clip is first off, and I feel like I need to sneeze, and I really don't want to sneeze into the microphone. That feels better. Okay. 80.6. Turn on bounding boxes and boundaries. There you go. Final edit, allowing you to focus on the VFX. Yes. Yes, that is very, very true. So the question is, so what is the order for post-production? Is what they sent you the final edit, allowing you to focus on VFX? Yes. What we received from the editor is the final cut and dry edit. And now it is my job to go in and do the VFX for the sequences. And depending, which we haven't discussed yet, how they want the delivery format, if I have to send all the stuff back or if I just have to send him or send them the edited footage, and then they're going to re-import that footage back into Premiere. So basically what that means is what I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to have to do, because I think they're working with an older editing system and I'm working with CC 2015, because as soon as, so a lot of people think, hey, I've got Adobe Premiere, it'll go with anything, right? Okay, so if you have Adobe Premiere CS6, say, just, yeah, you've got CS6 or CS5 or something, and you edit all your stuff, you send it to a VFX guy, or you send it to another person that has, say, Adobe CC 2015. They're going to get it, and they're going to open it just fine. It's going to be awesome. Now, if you don't know, after everything is said and finished, and you say, okay, all my stuff is linked, comped, dynamically linked in the project, I'm going to send you the project file back with the project file, or with, not project files, but with the edited footage, you should be just fine sending it back. There are two problems with that situation. The first problem is if you send the footage back to them and trying to downgrade the footage or downgrade the Premiere project from CC to CS6 ain't going to work. Sorry, not going to work. The only way to do it is if you export it out as, I believe, like an XML file, I think it is. What is that? I think that's correct. XML. Wait, no, save. Yeah, I'm pretty positive it's an XML file. So, but that XML file will not have any of the dynamic link footage for Adobe After Effects. So that's one awful thing about the backwards compatibility with Adobe products. It's just not a good deal. And there was a second point I was going to bring up, and then I forgot it because I went into that rant. I'll think of it later. Okay, so going back into After Effects, I hope that answers your question. And we're going to get back to this. Okay, so I've got the footage here, and what I'm probably going to have to do is, if I want to work this in the way I think they're going to work it, I'm going to have to actually track the footage and then digitally move the footage as well. Okay, so let's try some stuff. All right, so we'll go to Layer, New, Null Object. We're going to call this Ricochet 1. And I'm probably going to spell it wrong. I'll just call it R1. R1. Cool. And so our first point was right over here, and our second point was like in this region-ish. So those are the 2 points I'm going to focus on, and I don't want to put a ricochet bullet hole right here. I want to do it right over here. So you can see the ricochets out from behind these two things. And so you'll see it kind of pop open. You'll see, some sparks fly, some fairly simple stuff. It's just you've got a little bit of tediousness in the effect. Okay, so let's go ahead and start tracking. So I got my footage here, and I'm going to do track motion. That's going to bring up my tracker here. Take a point. I'm going to find some decent point on this rock right here, which that looks like a fairly decent, actually. Don't want it that close. Yeah, that'll be fine. So I've got a couple of rocks here. I got a high point, which is my white point for the rock, and I've got some low points. Funny enough, if you zoom this footage in a little close, it looks like the landscape of Mars. You could probably see if there's a face in the sand, and you could probably say that there's life on Mars from this picture. Sorry, I've been seeing a lot of those Mars pictures, and it's kind of, yeah. Okay, anyway, trust me, there's life out there, but it's just funny seeing a lot of that stuff. Okay, so I'm going to track the footage moving forward for this 1 point, and here we go, tracking. All right, so we did some tracking, and it kind of got squirrely on us there for a little bit. So we're just going to kind of watch this. Move it up, moving on up. Did a fairly good job in through here. And really, I think this track is going to work just fine because we're not going to be working in this side of the footage. So really we can probably stop it at about right there. So this track is going to be just fine because we're only focusing on this bit of region. So this will work just perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and apply for our R1 Ricochet. I'm going to make sure that, I need to cancel that there. Edit target, make sure, yeah, R1, make sure the target's there. I don't know why, I've had some problems with my null objects lately, so I have to double check that. All right, apply, hit OK. And here we go. So if you play this back, you can see that our point has been tracked just fine. It's a little squirrely, isn't it? No, it's probably because it's being... Yeah, that's why. Okay, cool. So it tracked just fine. It's just loading is a little slow. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to call this something different. I'm going to call it left hit because it's actually a ricochet for the left side of our screen. So we'll go ahead and do it left hit, and I'm going to also go layer, new, another null object. I'm going to call it right hit. Okay, so now we're pretty much going to do the exact same thing we just did, except we're going to bring in our tracking point for our right-hand side. Now, one thing you might need to do, especially if you have dark footage like this, and thank God that we had an 11-bit camera that we can kind of, we can bring up our levels in our black areas, and it's going to have a lot of data there. So exposure, go ahead. I think this is going to work. At least I hope it works. Expose the crap out of the footage just a little bit, and I can probably actually do it with the gamma to work a little better. Yeah. Okay. And we will go to track some motion, and it's going to bring in the black back. Yep, that's what I thought. Okay. All right, so we've got our motion tracker here, and we're just going to find a spot over here that we want this second hit to go off of, which is going to be this spot right there, which is based on our data that we received from the editors. So we're going to take that spot, and we're going to track it. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now, because I will be looking at the right-hand side of my screen, like I am right now. How's everybody's Friday going? I hope it's going good. I know mine is. Do I have any residual watchers out there, or is it just me? Oh yeah, and if you guys can, make sure to share the stream. If you feel like this is helping in any way, shape, or form. We'd like your support by helping us out and sharing the stream. So if you know there's more people out there that need help, share. This is a community. I want this comment box to just be littered with questions so I can give away free stuff. Oh yeah, that's another thing. If you comment, I'll just go ahead and give you free stuff because you guys are awesome. Okay, so I now see that I've got my tracking done here, and I have another thing. So I just filmed something today. What'd you film? All right, so we've got the tracking data, and I'm going to go ahead and hit apply, and I'm going to apply that to my right hit. Make sure your motion target is there, and hit on X and Y. Cool beans. We've got that, and we no longer need our tracking information on our first shot here. Cool. Okay, so now we have two ricochet points. We have point left and then our hit to the right. So what we're going to do is now we get to do the fun part. We get to do the compositing. Like I said, this was going to be a fairly easy tutorial. Now, if we wanted to, we could probably replace that sky. That could be something we could do. Possibly. Depending. I don't know. We'll see what my mood is here in a little bit. Okay. Let's get, I believe, let's do sparks. I think a bullet would probably crank out some good sparks. Firecrackers might not work. Good old Video Copilot really does some good stuff. I just need one small spark. Welding ceiling, no. Welding sparks, that might be good. What does that look like? Nope. Too much. Welding ceiling, nope, that's not going to work. Slow sparks, nope. Welding ceiling, nope, that's not going to work. Slow sparks, no. Cancel. Nope. 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 I just want to hit. Maybe that firecracker's the only thing that's going to work. It'll suck. Well, maybe it's not sparks I want. Maybe they have something else. I need a new catalog of stuff because I think everybody uses Video Copilot stuff. So if anybody knows of any cool stock elements to use, I think you need to put those in the chat window because I need more stuff to play with. Okay, dirt charges. This might be good. Yep, that's it. Found it. All right, I got a question here. So I filmed something today. It was a music video. We filmed the intro. It was setting up the song. However, the musician decided to play different songs each take. So it is somewhat hard matching up shots to fit the audio. So what should you do? I've done something very, very, very similar to actually what you're doing, One Man Band. So I way back in the heyday of my college years, I kind of supported a band for a while that had a lot of good music, and I kind of had the similar thing happen where we basically kind of put on a concert / we want to try to do this music video thing. So we did the actual full music video in the very beginning, but we wanted some live shots. And let me see if I can find that, and I'll post it in the description. And I believe it's on our Avid Pro YouTube, which has no subscribers. YouTube.com/AvidPro479. I think that's right. Nope. Productions 479. Hey, there it is. Yeah. Cool. All right, let me see if I can paste this in the description. Maybe. Hey, there you go. Cool. So check out that music video. We kind of did something very similar to what you're talking about. It's, I believe, in... again, this was a long time ago, so don't judge my crappy filmmaking skills. Man. Yeah, it's around the end, around 2:40-ish. It's kind of like a concert in the living room type of scene. So you can check that out. But if you're trying to align vocals, yeah, it's just not going to work. But you can find a creative way to make the music video look better. But if you want, send me a rough of something, just upload a private video, send it to me, and show me what you got, and I can kind of give you some ideas. All right, so back to the tutorial. Hey, Boom, I saw you. You're up here. Awesome. How's it going? Oh, and we got another watcher. Hey, I hope you enjoy the stream. And we're working in the Black Mariachi. Also, there's a fun little button on the right of the chat window called fan funding. If you like these tutorials or anything like that, give 50 cents or $1. It's cool. Help me let me know what you like, and I'll do more of it. Okay, so I found kind of the dirt charge that I want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and bring one of these guys down here. And basically, it's going to be pretty simple from here on out. We're just going to be lining up the footage with how it should be portrayed on our little scene here. which now that I'm thinking about it, we might have to do a little bit of masking just because I kind of want this hit to be behind the rock. But yeah, it's just a little bit of masking. It'll be okay. Okay. So I've got my left hit here, and I'm going to go ahead and parent that to my left hit null object. So now if I play it back, it's going to stay right there and be nice and pretty for me. And yeah. So another reason why I kind of want to keep this behind my rock here is because it doesn't stay on screen the whole time. I mean, actually, I could probably do this. Yeah, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and align this up fairly decent. And just kind of move this around. Make sure the rotation's fairly good. Yeah, so if you were coming here wanting masking, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to not do masking today. And I just hit my microphone. I'm sorry. All right, so I'm just going to line this up fairly decent. I don't want it to be that big because bullet shots are not that big, at least whenever they hit my rocks. All right, so play that back. It goes boom. Okay, so I've got that. It looks fine. But one thing I don't like is the fact that my rock, well, actually, I can probably do this because I know I exposed it fairly big. So I'll just go ahead and turn this off. Actually, that looks pretty good. So, hits, and yeah, awesome. Come on. There you go. All right, so it hits the ground, and sparks fly. It's one shot, and we should be pretty good. So now our problem is if we keep going with this film, you see it dies off right here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to timestamp this right here so that our ground stays there. And I also see that we've got a fun little thing that comes out here, which we will have to mask out. Thank you, Boomlord. I'm glad you guys are here. Make sure to tell other people, because if you like it, share. Share it right now. Share it with everybody. Say, oh my God, this stream is amazing. Even if you don't like After Effects. But seriously, guys, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for participating. You know, I mean, I've only done this for, I think, a week and a half, and you guys have been fairly consistent. Boomlord, you've been here since the beginning, so, I mean, dude, props. Okay, so back to what we were doing. So I got the dirt charge, and I'm going to need to keep this on screen while this shot slowly disappears. And I need to get that away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dirt charge, and I've already duplicated, or I need to duplicate the dirt charge. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to go to time, and I'm going to do freeze frame. And that's going to, well, freeze the frame. So I'm also going to bring this all the way up to the point where I froze the frame because I don't want it to be on screen before that point, and I'm going to take my other point from the dirt charge and put it there. So it goes right here, boom, and it looks like I'm going to have to mask that out too. So it hits, and I'm going to bring this over. So now this portion in time is frozen. So it now looks as if this was part of the ground here. So it hits, stays on screen. It's awesome. Everybody's happy, go lucky, goody two shoes. So we've got some smoke here that I'm going to go ahead and mask out. And you thought I was getting away from masking. I thought I was too. So just go ahead and mask this out real quick. Boom. mask, and subtract. And since we have that footage linked out, or not linked out, what do you call that? It's locked down, parented with pick whip, and it's locked down onto a null object. That's going to stay the same. And now we have that portion of time frozen, and it's now no longer interfering with our dude here. Okay, so we're pretty much going to do the exact same thing on this portion of the footage, except we're probably going to mask out this little portion, and you're going to see some stuff fall probably behind him, just to add to the realism of the shot. So I'm going to have to go in and find some more cool dirt charges, and maybe like a rock falling down. I really wish I had a rock to like fall on his head or something. I think that would be cool. Oh, dirt charges, don't need you. That's fire is not needed. Sorry. Okay, here's a question. Okay, everybody's watching. So in the stuff that you do, I know a lot of people are, I guess you guys are in college or later. If there was one thing that you wish you could have for your After Effects like stuff, like other than like plugins, what would it be? Like, so like if you have footage like this, like compilate or matted footage that you could add on top of stuff like that. If you could have anything, what would it be? I'm trying to figure out what I should go and film and do stuff to give to the community. And that would be cool, but it's just too big. That might work. While this stuff's in slow-mo. That's going to work right there. All right, so I've got dirt charge. I'm going to bring that in. I'm going to put it right on top of my other dirt charge here. And this one's actually staying on for quite a bit longer. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on top of the footage about where that marker was around in this region. So if you play it back, it's going to hit right there. So what we're going to do is, again, I'm going to parent this object to my right hit, and then I can just move it freely if I wanted to. And I'm going to rotate it and make it look as if it hits this wall. Kind of make it a little smaller. About right there. There's that. Cool. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit T. I'm going to bring down the opacity. And the reason why I'm going to do this is, yes, you called it, I'm going to mask. But again, it's going to be an easy mask since we've already done the tracking. We don't have to do a whole lot of other stuff. We can just kind of bring in our track or our matte tool and mask out the rock face here. And just masking, masking, masking. Masking, 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 masking. All right, bring that down and cut it off there. And hit M, add, change to subtract. And now, since we have that all completely done, we should now have a decent track right there. Fantastic. So also, this is actually kind of cool. I just noticed this. It almost looks, if you see right through here, we have a reflection of the water that that's underneath here. But it almost looks as though whenever this hits, it's like boom, hits. And it looks as if particles are flying right up into the camera, which I need to change this mask just a tiny bit because it's just off. And I don't like it whenever it's off like that. Just a little bit, just a little bit. Turn that down. that there. Turn that there. All right, looks better. All right, maybe I need to bring that over just a little bit because that thing tends to stay, and I don't want that to stay. Well, that'll be all right. I think. Well, crap. All right. I need to move this just a little bit over to the right. Nope. Don't want to do that. I want my dirt charge here. Move that to the right. Then move this mask for here. It's all about perfection. If you're getting paid to do a job, you got to do it right. All right, there's that. Awesome. Cool, cool. All right. So we've got that masked out pretty good there. All right, so let's see what this looks like. All right, so we've got our tracking points. Everything's looking good. Everything's surprisingly very, very good. So we've got 2 ricochet points, and everything should be good to go. Correct? Well, yeah, kind of. So the next thing, if you are just now catching up with the stream, is so at first, whenever we checked out the shot, this shot was actually dollying technically. Whenever I move the mouse up and down, when I do, technically, I'm doing like the 2 finger things out here. So whenever I do this, that means, you know, technically, and you see the dual finger thing. Okay, yeah, you get it. But so he was technically trying to mimic a dolly shot where the shot moves out while he's moving in. So we're going to try to mimic that, but the way he did it was he was trying to do it with the scale tool in Premiere. So, I mean, it looked good. It looked fine. But we have better ways of going around that and actually mimicking the shot to make it look as if the actual lens is moving itself with the camera. So, yeah, so that's what we're going to do now. But the biggest problem that we're going to have is now we have our tracking data, right? So we have 2D tracking data, and we're going to need to import that into a 3D scene. So it's going to be a little convoluted, just a bit, but it's going to be it's going to be good. Okay, so what we're going to do is I've never really tried to do this, so I'm going to make sure this is going to work. Well, it's live, so I'm just going to do it. So we've got our hits here in our tracking data. So technically we don't. No, we do. Okay, so I'm going to make these into 3D elements here. Taking all our stuff and pushing it into a 3D realm. And what did that do? And why did it do it? Oh, is this going to be another CC thing I'm going to have to deal with? I hope not. All right, so if that's like that, that's like that. Okay, so this is taking that 3D data. Maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe. I don't know. This is confusing. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah. That's weird. I've never seen this happen. So I click this to 3D, and it no longer wants to play nice with me. And it turns off my bottom layer here. So maybe if I put that into 3D, if that's going to work. Hey, that worked. Okay, cool. That's weird. I've never, ever seen that. So apparently, if you make one 3D object that's been tracked, you also have to make the other objects 3D, including everything else, before it'll work just fine. I don't know. I'm still trying to get used to Adobe CC 2015. So yeah, there's that. This is weird. Okay, so now that I've got my weirdness stuff done, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Layer, New, Camera. And what we're going to do is let's, oh man, what did we film this on? We filmed this on a, I think it was a 14 millimeter. So 15 should be just fine. So we'll just hit that. I hope this is going to work. Yeah, that's going to work just fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to dolly this out. And hopefully this will work. So we're going to hit our P for position and our camera. We're going to hit our little stopwatch tool. And we're going to go all the way to the end of our scene here. And we are going to hit our camera tool and do track Z. And just dolly this out like a good boy. Dolly it out. And technically that should work just fine. Which I don't think. Hey guys, and welcome to the stream. Again, I'm having some weird technical difficulties with software now. So that's nothing new with Adobe CC 2015. For some reason, the camera is not wanting to move my footage, like, at all, which is really, really not good for me. I don't know why it's not working, but it is not. It's not working with my keyframe. So you're going to see me do this and try to figure out why it's doing what it's doing. Oh, this is just things that just really tick me off. They change one thing, and then another thing changes, and then something doesn't work, and then that doesn't change. Oh, man. Like, that doesn't even work. Change that orientation, but it doesn't change my orientation with my shot. Like, what's going on here? Do I need to do, like, change my tracking options? What's the deal here? Motion tracker. Let's delete motion trackers because I technically don't need them. So is like that what we're going to need to do? Is that what's happening? This is wild. Like, I'm not, like, this is weird. I don't understand what's going on and why this is doing this for some odd reason. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is, it's a very basic thing. I've been doing this whole thing. Like, there's been so many tutorials that I've done this with this exact same thing, and it's doing it just fine, but for some reason it's not putting down my keyframe data. Like, I change the keyframes and it doesn't work, which is really, really weird. So I'm going to turn this off. So basically what I'm trying to do is I've got this dolly that I'm wanting to go from here. Very basic maneuver, and it's working just fine. But for some reason, my keyframes are relaying, or are not relaying at all. Like this is really like pissing me off. So I set a keyframe here and basic thing, and I'm just gonna move out the camera, and it doesn't relay that information onto my timeline, like, at all. Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, what is the deal here? Should I set up a new camera? Let's try that. Set up a new camera. So, like, it's something that's just, if it's not one thing, it's another. So I'm going to try this and see if this is going to work. Maybe there's just going to be a completely new way that I'm going to have to learn how to do something with the new Adobe CC 2015. I don't know. Take a deep breath. Okay. Layer, new, camera. I don't know. Let's try a 24 millimeter camera. Maybe that will work. So it's going to relay that information just fine. So we're going to go from here. Maybe if I wasn't an idiot, it would work. Let's do active camera. I hope that was the fix. I really hope that was the fix. All right, do this, transform, position, but it doesn't mean I don't. Oh, there it is. I'm an idiot. Oh my God. I'm an idiot. All right, I had the front view selected instead of the active camera, which I should have. Okay, yeah, you just saw me go through a massive brain fart. I'm so sorry, guys. But this is why we do things live, because not everybody's perfect. So yeah, so basic maneuvering, that whole spiel that just happened, this is what we were trying to accomplish. For some reason, it wasn't working. So, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I have somebody here who's sharing my pain. So, yeah, absolutely. It's good to have somebody to share the pain with. Okay. So, now we've got the move. We've matched our shots. We've got the 2 hits, and we're now dollying out. But this isn't the last thing that we're going to be doing. We want to mimic the fact that we want... Okay, so our full frame is this right here, pretty much, okay? It's a bunch of darkness, and it looks like crap. I was going to say something else, but it looks like crap. And I need to take that out. So as soon as he gets right here, I'm going to, where is it? Left charge, T, opacity, and it's just going to go, whoop, and it's going to go bye-bye. Go bye-bye. Bye-bye. It'll be gradual, but it'll be good. Okay, anyway. So, I want to make this look as if what we're seeing in this foreground part right here is actually what the size of the composition is and what the lens is actually seeing. So what the lens is actually seeing at all times is this frame, is this wide. But we're making it look as if it's dollying out from a this wide shot. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to add a lens effect on an adjustment layer here. So we'll go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. And we're going to type in Lens, Lens Blur, Lens Shape. No, don't want to use Boris. Want to use what everybody else has. CC Lens Distort. Take that, and we will move it on top of our footage. And it's going to make it look like you're in a big, giant fisheye, which is good. That's what it should do. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the size of this. This is basically going to make our footage warp a little bit, but it's going to give it the aspect of, you know, hey, this is a new lens, so it's actually looking through a warped lens, a little bit warped lens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down just a bit, widen this up, and I want to kind of mess with the convergence. So I'm going to bring it to like a really crappy level, and I want to mess with how this lens is going to be affecting our footage. So you can make it affect it like a ton. Like you can make it wrap. So I use this effect a lot whenever it wraps in negative convergence to put stuff like on TVs and things. It gives a pretty cool different look. But what I'm going to do is I say a lot. So I'm just going to bring that convergence up just a bit. So it's just warping right outside of frame. So I want to pull this up to where it is completely in the frame and just converge it out just a smidgen. So now, whenever it goes through, you see a little bit of that warpage, and it looks as if you're moving through this tunnel, and because the things on the sides move a little bit more than the things that are in the foreground and the front. So that's just another way you can add some more cool realism to the effect. And you can change this as much as you want. So I've got a little bit there. I want to do a little bit more. But yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm not technically supposed to be coloring the footage or not, but I'm going to mess with it just a little bit, just because I like messing with footage, and that's what I'm going to do. So in one of the earlier tutorials, I was using a plugin called HDR Compander. I believe that's what it's called, or that's Campander. I want to say Compander. Yeah, we'll just bring this down onto our adjustment layer here. I'm going to put it underneath or on top of our lens, and I'm going to change the gamma because we're losing a lot of detail, like a lot of detail in our blacks. And I want to give a little bit more contrast to our shot. All right, so I'm going to try to bring that down as much as I can, which unfortunately we weren't shooting in RAW, so I can't bring back that sky, unfortunately, which unfortunately kind of sucks. Which I might do another tutorial on sky replacement. You know, who knows? It's something I could do. But for now, we'll go into curves, color correction, bring that down, and mess with the curve adjustment just a little bit. Bring up some stuff. So I am just about done with this portion of the tutorial. So if you have questions or anything like that, I'm going to go ahead and say that now. So while I'm working in this and talking about it, think about things you want to ask, and I'll get to all of them. So I see I have 2 watchers. Thank you for watching the stream still after our first cutout, which I'm sorry about. It's just things that happen with live streaming. But if you have questions, now's the time to start thinking about what you want to ask. Okay, so back in After Effects, we've got our dude here, and I'm just going to be messing with our curvature adjustment and bringing our blacks back out. Now, that effect, the HD compounder, brings back in a lot of the detail here, but it leaves us with not a whole lot of contrast, so you have to kind of compensate for that just a little bit by bringing in those black levels, and you don't want to do it too much. So now we have a solid black, which is pretty good, which I personally like. And we have our levels back a little bit, so there's not a whole lot of really intense black stuff going on. So he comes in here, and you see a little bit of the sky, thankfully. But we also see more of this cave, because the cave is really what we're trying to get into. Okay, so we've got that. And I want to kind of white balance this up. And so we've got, I mean, it's fairly white balanced. I mean, I can probably color it just a smidgen without doing too much damage. Yep, that's about all I'm going to do because he wants to keep it white for the colorist. All right, there's that. And I'm going to saturate it. And I'm just about finished with our shot here. Cool. Yeah, that's it. That is our shot. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so I lied again. Okay, so we've got our shot here, which looks good. It's sweet. But right about here, I want to add a mask. And the reason why I want to add a mask is because this guy's hand goes right over an essential part of this shot. So fortunately, I'll just have to add a mask at about right in here. So right there. So go M. Should I do it on the dirt charge? Yeah, I'll do it on the dirt charge. All right, so I'm just going to mask his arm through here. Which this is, I mean, this is going to be fairly simple because we're not masking out too much. Whoops. It just became not simple. All right, there's one. Type M, check the mask. It should be good there. Make sure that's up to subtract. And I want to double down that arrow. I want to change the opacity. Make sure. All right, that's going to be just fine. Now, for some of these shots, sometimes I have to do a certain thing a weird way. So I'm going to go ahead and make a little mask expansion thing because this kind of has to go on. And if I change the opacity of it, it's going to move certain parts of this down that I don't want it to be brought down. So the frame before this is going to be a mask right through here, and it's going to be expansion negative. Okay, so we're going to go through negative expansion, and then I'm going to go ahead 2 frames, and I'm going to bring it up to 0. That's going to give the effect as if this guy's hand is going through a thing, and I just did this completely all wrong because I forgot to hit my path. So make sure your mask path is set there too. And move that down. And that over this way. Move that there. That, move this up, right there. Come on, get out. There you go. Pull this out over through here. Pull this down a little bit. Pull that there. Do this here. All right, that's fine right there. Go to this frame. Do the same thing. We do a lot of masking in After Effects. So if you want to get in After Effects, get really good at masking. If you want to get really good at masking, do a lot of Photoshop or a lot of After Effects. All right, keep this thing moving on. Oops. Keep on trucking. That. That's weird. Ah, that's why. Since our shot's 3D, it's technically looking at this shot a little differently than what we're able to see it. So we have to kind of make adjustments accordingly to what our mask looks like in 3D space. So that's why we're kind of, or I'm kind of moving this thing along a little differently than what I normally do. All right, there's that. There's that. This mask over here should be just fine. Whoops, that is not fine. And again, move this up, move this out, move this back about right there. Over there, move this over there. Keep going here. That actually looks pretty good. This up just a bit. Looks good. And right about here. Move that down. Move this down. Move it down, move it up, move this down, move this up. Pull this up, pull this down, pull this down. Pull this down quite a bit. Alright, and we should be just about done. I think that should be it. Cool. Check this out. Goes in. There we go. Much better. Cool. All right. So we just masked out that small little bit of shot, which took a little bit longer than what it should have, but it did. Okay. So I think we are done with the tutorial or the live stream tutorial portion of the show. And now we're going to get to questions. So I have 3 viewers. So if you've got any questions for me, now would be the time to ask them, and we've got a couple of them, I believe. Can you explain what you're trying to do again? Already answered that. I bet having stream is helpful because you get to vent. Yes, loving the vintage. Okay, so the question is, color corrections. Explain anything and everything about color correction, especially in Adobe Premiere, or would you rather correct it in After Effects? That is a good question. There's a lot of stuff to do with color correction. Color correction can make or break a video sometimes. Usually I say audio will make or break your video because technically audio is 80% of your video. But whenever it comes to color correction, there is a lot of ways to go about it. And it really depends on timeline, first of all. Also, what the footage that you're using, and well, okay, so timeline, what footage you're using, what kind of cameras you're using, and really the whole overall workflow of what you're trying to accomplish. So, for example, in this particular film, what I'm doing is I'm going, I think that was the second part that I was supposed to tell you guys earlier. So I'm taking this footage, and since the guy who does not have Adobe CC, I have to take the footage, render it all out in QuickTime format, and then he's going to re-import them back into the scenes from his computer that have all the markings on them. So I've got to render all these scenes out, drop ship those to the editor, and then he's going to re-import those back into the scene. And the reason why I'm not color correcting them, I'm actually white balancing the scene so all of our colors look fairly natural, is so they, if they don't hire me to color correct it, they hire a color corrector who will use, I'm not sure what program they'll use, but there's a lot of different programs that they can use, but they might do it in Premiere. They might do it in Adobe SpeedGrade. They might use my favorite program for corrections, which is Resolve. I don't do a lot of it. It's in my secret plugins list. I'm trying to get them on my side. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways, but the easiest way to color correct that I've found to do, if you can use a 3-way color wheel, which is by Red Giant. They have a really, really good one, and they have a little eyedropper that you can use. If you're looking to white balance the footage, you can use their little eyedropper tool. Click on the a white spot in the film, or what is supposed to be white, and it'll completely change the way the footage looks, and it will white balance the footage for you. Now, there's a manual way of doing this, and I believe... Oh, what is that in? Video effects... Color correction. I can't remember what it is. I believe it's the color balance. No, it's not color balance. It's a 32-bit color corrector. That's not it. That might be it. In fact, I'm going to... All right, you're going to see another shot of this movie because I'm wondering how this is. Which... Nope, that's not it. There, freaking A. 3-way color corrector. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so there's a couple of different versions of this. I personally like the Red Giant plugin for it, but there's also this 3-way color corrector, which is usually my favorite way of coloring the footage because you can color it your midtones, blacks, and highlights. And it's kind of like as if you were using a SpeedGrade plugin, but it's a lot more simple. And you can change a lot of the other parameters right here. But this is what I usually use if I'm color correcting in a hurry, or I use curves if I'm in a hurry. But if you're using more professional footage, like on this, if I were to color correct it, I would be color correcting in SpeedGrade or Resolve. And that has a ton of different parameters that it looks at. It looks at up to 32-bit cameras, which I believe actually the highest bit rate camera right now is 18, which is the Alexa, my favorite camera. So yeah, there's a ton of different ways of going around color correction. But if you're using VFX and you need the color corrected footage, yes, do all your color correction in After Effects. But if you're sending it off to a color correctionist, try to white balance it as much as you can. That way it makes it easier on them. At least that's what I've been taught and what I'm used to. So if somebody knows any differently, I'd love to hear their opinion on that color correction. But that's a good question because color correction is something that is one of the most absolutely essential parts in a lot of film footage and commercial work and everything. And you can definitely tell, like if you see stuff on TV, what has been color corrected and what has not been color corrected. And usually the stuff that has been color corrected looks way, 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 way better. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, Goldie, the question is, how long does it take you to edit an average film? So what is your take on an average film? Like, are you looking, like, technically the average, or a feature film is 45 minutes and up. So it really all depends on, what you're filming. So if like an average, like action film, or an average like documentary, because I'm actually working on a documentary right now called People Inspiring People. We shot on Red, and that's taken about a month and a half now, and we're just about finished and ready to send it off into coloring. But that's also with working on a lot of other projects that we do. So I mean, typical feature film, I think the longest one that I've worked on so far is about 2 years. and where it's just now getting into VFX right now, which is the Thunderdome documentary. I think I mentioned it in one of the other videos, but you can check out the Thunderdome documentary on youtube.com/ThunderdomeDoc or Thunderdome documentary, and you can check that out. Can I explain the vector scope? Are you talking about Vector Designs One Man Band or what's up? Oh, okay. I get it. So you're so color correcting on a vector scope or a not stereoscopic. Okay. That I don't really use it a whole lot, and I really should. It basically shows you the waveform of the colors in a certain way. So if like a certain color is overly bright or overly, oh man, that's a tough one. I wish I could answer that better, but I'm personally not used to using a vector scope that much. So sorry, I don't think I can answer that one to its fullest right now. But what I will do is I've got it on my notes currently, so I'm going to try to answer your question better. Okay. And I am getting lots and lots of messages on my phone. That's cool. Okay, Goldie, you've got another question. What's the most common mistake editors make? Uh, there's a lot of them, to tell you the truth. And I mean, editors make mistakes all the time, but it's about hiding those mistakes as best as you can. I mean, me personally, I think a lot of editors make mistakes, especially whenever editing to music. People think that, oh, you're editing on the beat. So if you have like you're editing on that downbeat, and every time like a beat happens, you have to edit on that beat. Whenever people just edit constantly on that beat, it makes your film look repetitive after like 30 seconds, and it becomes predictable. So I think that's one of the main things that people make mistakes in editing, especially we were talking about music videos earlier, so that's one thing I like to get out there, especially for your music video one man band. Do not edit on the beat all the time. It's good to edit on the beat, but switch it up, make it unpredictable, make it look really good. Does that answer your question? All right. What is the best way to organize your workflow in Premiere? Well, organization is key. And what I like to do, I would open up a Premiere project of one of mine, which is very, very crazy looking. But I have folders upon folders upon folders in folders upon folders upon folders. So what I tend to do is it starts as soon as that camera card comes out of your camera, your organization workflow in Premiere happens. So it really does start as soon, like your Premiere workflow starts as soon as you get that camera card in your hand, or like you take the camera and you plug it into your computer. So you really need to be organized first and foremost into your file formats. So make sure you have, plenty of room for what your project is going to take. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes that I see in, I guess this goes back to your question, Goldie, of what editors do, is they miscommunicate their organization with themselves. Because they'll get the camera footage and they'll say, okay, I only need, 100 gigabytes of room. And then they get into Premiere and they get into After Effects and they realize that the folder or the place that they place the folder in that they're organizing all their stuff in no longer has enough space on the hard drive. And they then have to either take that footage from that hard drive and put it on another hard drive with bigger space. And then everything kind of gets like miscommunicated and jumbled up, and it just turns into a freaking nightmare. So that would be the first thing of organization I would do, is make sure you have plenty of space on the hard drive that you're working on or working off of. Second is, whenever you're bringing all your stuff into Premiere, make sure they're in corresponding folders. So say you've got your, you have your like left-hand footage you're going to be working in. I don't know how this guy set it up. Well, I would show you how this guy set it up, but I'm in CC. So he's got some stuff here. He's got titles. He's got the music, sound effects, bin 47, whatever that is, which obviously doesn't have anything in it. So, and then he has the VFX folder, which is actually, I think, my folder. But he's got, you bring in the footage, and he's got everything into his folders corresponding to how he knows what they are. So he knows now, like, this is in this folder, this is in this folder, this is in this folder, and it's on, based on all these different days. And then there's folders in those folders. Every editor is different. So, I mean, there's no perfect way to do it, because it's really what you're most comfortable with. But what I think would be most crucial is what I was saying before, is make sure you have plenty of room on the hard drive that you're going to be working on. And I think that answers your question, One Man Band. Goldie, yes, thanks, very helpful. Awesome, yeah, no problem. What's the best program for 3D animation? That's an even bigger convoluted answer, because it also goes to what's your 3D, like, what do you want to be doing in 3D? Me personally, I love the hell out of 3ds Max. I grew up with 3ds Max, and that's what my college used, and that's what I got used to, and that's what I love, and it's great. It's a great program. Also, if you want to learn, which brings up a good point, Goldie, is if you want to learn 3ds Max, you can get all their software for free as long as you're going to school. And now you can't use it commercially, but they will allow you to download a full version of 3ds Max up to whenever they come out. So if you have, like, I have the 2014 version of it, but like if I was still going to school, I could get the 2015 version, So you can get that on their website, and believe it's under the student section of Autodesk. So you should go check that out. But I mean, I'm trying to get more used to Cinema 4D, just because that correlates directly back into After Effects, and that's going to help my workflow a lot. And another cool side note is we've got a 3ds Max and Maya developer and 3D designer who's coming onto our tutorial grid team, and he's going to be doing 3ds Max and Maya tutorials. So that's a cool little announcement, and I hope you guys stick around for those too. They're not going to be live, they're going to be post edits. Cool. Well, we're just about, I'm about out of time, and I need to start going and getting a drink of water because I'm starting to get rather hoarse. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me tonight, even though our stream dropped only once this time instead of 5 times like it did last night. But again, guys, thanks for watching. Please share. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Avid Productions 479. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our stuff. Make sure to share everything. Also, this is brought to you in part by, again, SiteGround. If you need a website or anything like that, the link to SiteGround is below. They've got stuff starting out at $3.99 and goes up from there. Great for portfolios, great for WordPress. We use it. It's absolutely amazing. We're also working on the film The Black Mariachi by J.M. Williams by Guantanamera Films. And you can also check us out on Twitter. So if you go to our Twitter, it's twitter.com/tutorialgrid. Check us out on avidproductions479.com. Cool stuff there. And again, our Avid Productions 479 Facebook, facebook.com/avidproductions479. Share our stuff. Make sure you keep watching. Tell everybody you know. And guys, again, thanks. I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have a good night.